What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Craftavore Tastes. And today we're digging into a beer that has been kind of near and dear to my heart for the last number of years. Ever since I moved over to northern New Jersey. I'm actually originally from New York. But having moved over to northern New Jersey, there's actually two breweries in the state of New Jersey that have become my absolute favorites. They're probably the most two prominent breweries in the state, and that obviously would be Kane Brewing Company and Carton Brewing Company. So you'll actually see in the next couple of episodes, I'm going to be diving into some New Jersey-centric beers, which are going to be kind of cool. I'm actually wearing my Stone Pony shirt to give a little shout out. But today we're actually going to be reviewing a beer from Kane Brewing Company out of Ocean, New Jersey. This is Head High. This is their flagship IPA. And this is actually a beer that I believe they released back when they opened. I want to say Kane opened in either 2011 or maybe 2012. Somewhere around there. I can't exactly remember. But what's super cool, and the reason why I'm actually reviewing Head High today is I actually walked into my local Wegmans, and they had 4 packs of this fresh for sale. And that's kind of big news, only because previously I wasn't able to get Kane can distribution up by me in northern New Jersey. So Ocean is it's Jersey Shore area. Like, it's not too far south, right? It's probably about an hour and a half south of me, but distribution, Mike Kane, owner of the brewery, namesake of the brewery, has actually been pretty specific in terms of how he has managed the growth of the brewery. And one of those things is that they still self-distribute. So this was a real shock for me and a really cool thing when I popped into Wegmans today and saw that Head High was available in cans. That is awesome. So let's go ahead and actually dive in and do a review of a beer that has become one of my personal favorites. All right, so the drill, right? Pop a top on the sky, take a look at the appearance, aroma, taste it, then of course we're going to rate it. So let's go ahead and dive right in. If I can open it. All right, so let's go ahead. Obviously, hashtag proper, Kane glass. Let's go ahead and just pour that right in. If I could actually get it straight, that would be sweet. All right, poured that guy out. Apologies for that, as you can see. I could have used a little bit of a cleaner glass, but you know what? Haven't actually drank out of my Kane glass in a while, so apologies for not cleaning it prior. Could have used just a little bit of a washout. Anyway, so appearance of the beer. So, actually coming in with a nice amount of medium haze on there. I actually don't remember Head High being kind of hazy in this way. I haven't had it in a little bit, so not sure if they kind of changed or formulated the recipe. But yeah, it's got like a decent little medium haze going on there. Nice kind of orange to light medium gold color, which is kind of cool. That color actually is pretty familiar of what I'm kind of used to. I'll get the beer actually just a little bit closer. So it looks absolutely gorgeous in a glass. You got basically about a half finger of some kind of nice white frothy kind of foam head. Looks gorgeous as it should. So let's go ahead and get ourselves an aroma. That is familiar. So big notes of grapefruit. Head High always kind of had that kind of, dank herbally thing kind of going on there a little bit. So it's like that mixture of like grapefruit with a bit of kind of like dank earthiness and kind of earth tones going on. Yeah, definitely even like maybe a little bit of kind of pine in the background, but very kind of grapefruit kind of heavy. Yeah, kind of grapefruit dominant. A little bit of kind of like earthy kind of herbalness happening. Even with just kind of a little bit of kind of notes of pine. Yeah, maybe a little bit of citrus, like maybe a little bit of orange. But yeah, super familiar tasting. Let's go ahead and give her a taste. Cheers. Yeah. Okay. So straight up, grapefruit absolutely follows through on the taste. Getting a little bit of kind of orange kind of notes kind of following through after that. The one thing that I know about Head High and has kind of stayed true is that This is not a New England style IPA, although I'm a little bit taken aback by just kind of the unfiltered nature and the medium kind of haze on it. It is not. Simply put, middle of the palate, you're getting a nice, huge, big burst of bitterness there. You're getting a little bit of kind of crackeriness from those particular malts, a little bit of kind of sweetness overlaid on that kind of crackery malt. But again, big, huge pop of bitterness. This is an IPA's IPA. I've said that before in the past, but it's kind of like, the term of, a comedian's comedian, so to speak. This is kind of one of those kind of like unfiltered kind of IPAs coming out of a brewery on the East Coast, but one that has been around since kind of the brewery's inception. And there's a lot of West Coast qualities to this beer, right? Kind of big pine, grapefruit up front, huge, big kind of like blast of bitterness, which, leads in just to a little bit of kind of like that crackery kind of malt sweetness. Going back in for one more. Yeah, so the recipe really hasn't really changed much. The only thing that maybe has potentially changed is just a little bit of like the appearance, right? But I could be wrong there. I haven't had it in a little bit. It could just be that I'm misremembering what the appearance is. But, here's a fantastic example of a beer that was launched a number of years ago, pre-Haze Craze, right? And just freaking still knocks it out of the park, right? Not every single IPA, especially on the East Coast, needs to be this overabundant, pungent juice bomb, right? It doesn't need to be that. It can still kind of be that hybrid between the two, right? Very kind of West Coast in nature. Pop of bitterness that lingers around and kind of reminds you that you're obviously drinking an IPA. And that's something about this beer that I am happy to report has not changed. This is absolutely freaking delicious. This can is super, super fresh, canned on 620, so that's pretty badass for me in New Jersey, or northern New Jersey rather, to get my hands on this can. So let's go ahead and rate this. I am going to take one more sip because this beer is still totally kick-ass. Yeah, that's good. And a great, great departure from obviously those New England style haze IPAs that many of us in the region, myself guilty as charged, drink a tremendous amount of. So great, awesome departure. Rating. Simply put, there were probably times a number of years ago where I may have rated this beer as high as a 4.5 caps. Here I am, X number of years later. I'm not necessarily sure it's that high anymore, right? Based on kind of how, not necessarily my palate changed. That's not it, because I just kind of went into a little diatribe about how that ultimately actually doesn't matter, and it's the fact that the beer still stays to its roots is what the remarkable thing is, and something that should be celebrated. What I was going to say is that in the time that I first had this beer, when it was launched 6 years ago or 5 years ago, don't quote me, somewhere around that time, I've obviously had a lot of like really great kind of similar beers, right? So maybe potentially for me, it's not nearly standing out as much. But with that said, that is still a 4.35 cap beer. So I might just take it down a slight bit from maybe what I've had previously, just based on the fact that obviously my knowledge and kind of my exposure into craft beer has grown significantly in that time period when I had it first. But that is still an incredible beer, and I'm going to straight up give it a 4.35 caps because it still knocks it out of the park. It's one of those beers that, has withstood the test of time, at least here in the state of New Jersey. And yeah, head high's badass and still is, man. Great freaking beer. Amazing brewery that Kane is. So 4.35 caps for the Craftavore Tastes. I'll hope you join me again for another episode where I drink, I review, I rate, and then I repeat. Cheers.